Okay, so this is multi-level inheritance. At each level you will have only one class, and that one class will be either a superclass or subclass or both. So in our example, at first level you have area class, and that is only a superclass, and it is a superclass for the class which is at second level, that is perimeter. Then at second level you have this perimeter which is a subclass for area, but it is also a superclass for another class called circle which is at level 3, right? So that means this perimeter is both superclass as well as subclass, superclass for circle and subclass for area. And coming to level 3, the circle class is only a subclass, and it is a subclass to perimeter class. So now let us find out what is there in both all these three classes. So if you look at the first one, that is the level 1 class area, it is having a constructor init method. It receives one parameter r, and then we are initializing the object variable r, which stands for radius, with the argument r passed to this constructor. Then you have a method called areas defined in this class. So what is this method returning? It is returning 3.14 into self.r into self.r. So this is the area of a circle, right? So this is going to return the area of the circle when it is called. Then coming to the perimeter class, it is a subclass for area. So it has a constructor init method. It receives one parameter r, and look at the first statement, area dot init. So which init method you are making a call to? You are making a call to the superclass init method. Okay, if you create a object for perimeter class, you will not be able to access superclass area, that is constructor. So that's why the first statement must be area dot init, and you need to pass how many parameters. This constructor is receiving one parameter, so you need to pass that one parameter for this constructor. So this parameter in turn is again passed to as a parameter to the constructor of perimeter class, right? First you pass it to the perimeter constructor, then from that perimeter constructor you are making a call to areas constructor and passing the same r to constructor of area. Okay, then I'm initializing self.r. This object variable r is exclusive to perimeter. This self.r is exclusive to area, and I'm assigning that r value to self.r. Then I'm printing this class inherits features from area in the init method. Then I'm defining perimeters method. So this receives no parameters except the self keyword. Then this is going to return what? The perimeter of a circle. So what is the perimeter of a circle? 2 pi r. So 2 into 3.14 into self dot r. Then we are defining the third level class circle, which is a subclass for perimeter. So here also I am defining the constructor init method, and this also receives one parameter r. Then I'm making a call to the immediate superclass constructor init by using the class name perimeter. Yesterday we discussed, right, how to make a call to the immediate superclass constructor by using the superclass name dot uh, the init method name double underscore init double underscore. So the number of parameters must be self plus how many parameters you are passing to the immediate superclass constructor, that many you have to pass. Then just like we did in the previous superclass, this class inherits features from area. So the same message, this class inherits features from perimeter, is being displayed in this constructor as well. Then you are defining a method called display method. This display method does not receive any parameters, it only receives self. Then using a print statement, I am displaying a message areas of circle is, and then making a call to area dot areas. So what is areas method? Here it is defined, right? So I'm using class name directly to call it, call the method. Then a perimeter of circle is perimeter dot perimeters of self. So let us come back to this method after looking at the objects that we created. So look at the code outside of all the three classes. So we are uh, creating a variable v1 and taking an integer as input by input method, input function, and converting it into integer format and storing it in the variable v1. Then I'm creating an object for circle class. So circle is at level 3, and to the constructor of circle, how many parameters you need to pass? One parameter, right? So I'm passing this v1 variable value as parameter to the circle constructor. So the constructor r will constructor will receive the v1 value and copy it into r. Okay, then again this constructor is again in turn calling init method of the previous super immediate superclass, that is perimeter. So the same r value will be passed again to this one also here, right? And this in turn will make a call to constructor of area. So it will be passed even to the init method of area. Same, the same v1 value is passed to all the constructors of immediate superclasses, that is perimeter and area. Okay, then after that I'm simply making a call to c1 dot display. So what is display method? It is there in, it is defined in circle class, right? So this display method, it doesn't receive any parameter, but it displays area of circle and perimeter of circle by making a call to areas method of area class and perimeters method of perimeter class. Okay, then what I am doing is I'm creating another object. So this time I'm creating another variable v2 and receiving an input integer from the keyboard. Then I'm creating another object a1 for area and passing the v2 value to this area. So this will be passed only to the constructor of area method, area class. So now v2 value will be there available only with area class, right? Then what I am doing, using a print statement, area of circle is directly I am calling areas method using object a1, which is an object for area class. Okay, then what I am doing, receiving one more integer from the keyboard and storing it in v3 variable, then creating an object for perimeter class, and this will be passed only to the perimeter constructor. But anyhow this perimeter constructor init method will pass this value again to area as well. Okay, so now using this perimeter you can call both area method as well as perimeter method, right? Because perimeter is a subclass for area. Using the object of perimeter you can call areas method of area class as well as perimeters method of the perimeters class, right? But I am making only call to perimeters method. Let us run this program and see how it works. So look at the output. We just gave input for which variable? Only for v1. Only for v1 we have given. An object c1 is created, and what is constructed for circle doing? It is passing the same v1 value to perimeter constructor as well as area constructor. So what is the radius we gave? 5, right? So the same 5 value will be used as radius for the circle to find out its area as well as to find out its parameter in the perimeter class. Area is found in the areas class, perimeter is calculated in perimeter class. So in area you have areas method to find out area of the circle with the radius 5, and similarly you have perimeters method in perimeter class to find out the perimeter. Perimeter is nothing but circumference, right? So circumference of a circle or perimeter of a circle both mean the same. So the formula for that is 2 pi r. So 2 into 3.14 into self dot r. So what is this going to do? What you are doing after the object is created in this program? You are making a call to display method, right? So what is display method doing? It is displaying both area and perimeter of the circle. So both the constructors will display this class inherits features from area, this class inherits features from perimeter, right? Then after that area of circle and perimeter of circle is displayed. Both these lines are displayed by the display method, right? So area of circle is calculated as 78.5. So it is nothing but 25 into 3.14, which is nothing but 78.5. Similarly, 2 pi r means 6.28 into 5. So that is nothing but 31.4, right? So then after this, what you are doing? You are reading one more integer, right, for v2. And remember uh, how I made a call to areas method from within perimeter circle class. Circle is a subclass for perimeter and perimeter is a subclass for area. So using an object of circle, I can access all the methods of area class, right, as well as I can access all the methods of perimeter class, and even the exclusive methods of circle class, right? So what you must understand clearly here is area will have only this constructor and the areas method, but perimeter will have its own constructor, this one, and it will be able to access the constructor of area method, the superclass, as well as it has this perimeters method which is exclusive to perimeter, and also it will have as a member areas method which is member of area because perimeter is a subclass. So totally how many methods will be there in perimeter? There will be two methods, areas and perimeters, and two constructors. One is exclusive for perimeter, the other one is uh, part of area class. So totally two constructors plus two methods, right? Totally four altogether. And coming to circle, it will have three constructors, one of which is its exclusive constructor, then it will access perimeters constructor as well as area constructor, right? Then it will also have, apart from this display method which is exclusive to circle, it will also have as member this perimeters method of perimeter class as well as areas method of area class, right? So altogether it will have three constructors plus three methods: areas method, perimeters method, and display method. So we were able to access all these using this single C1 object. But if you create an object for perimeter, then you will be able to access only the members of class class area and class perimeter only. You cannot access the members of circle, right? And if you are creating an object for area, then you will be able to access only the members of area, not even the members of perimeter, right? Is that clear? So because first we created object for circle, the bottommost level class, that is the class at level 3. So we will be able to access all the methods that are defined in all the three classes, area, perimeter, as well as circle. But later what you are doing is you are creating an object for area class, that is a1. Using this you can only access the members of area class only, and next you are creating an object p1 for perimeter, using which you can access members of both area as well as perimeter, right? And look at how I'm making a call to uh, areas method and perimeters method from circles display method. Am I using an object? Because you don't have an object, you can directly use the class name area dot areas. And here also to make a call to perimeters method, then you can access perimeters method, right? Why you are making like this? Because we don't require an object. We don't require an object. So let me remove this area here for this areas. Let us complete the program execution, because already we are in the middle of the execution of the program. So let me complete this. I'll give one more value, say 3 now. This is an object for area class, so this will only be accessing areas method. So 3 square is 9, 9 into 3.14 is 28.2599, so on. Then this time I'll give say 6 for perimeter object. So this is calling only perimeter method. So 2 into 3.14, 6.28 into 6 is nothing but 37.68. So now let me make the change to the program. uh, I'll remove this perimeters. Now let me compile and run the program. So after I give 5, I'm getting an error. It will execute the constructors, and the constructors will display this class inherits features from area, this class inherits features from perimeter. But when you are making a call from display method to areas method and perimeters method, there you will get an error. So what is that error? Name error. Name areas is not defined, right? What is the difference you observe from that of in Java programming as when compared with this Python programming is, when a class is a subclass for an existing class, you don't require an object to call the methods of superclass, right? Areas is a method from perimeter class, right? Even if it is a actual member of area class, because perimeter is a subclass, perimeter will also have this areas method. And because circle is a subclass for perimeter, all the members of perimeter will also be members of circle class. That means it will include areas method as well as perimeters method. So when you are making a call to members of superclass methods, we don't require actually an object to call them if it is in Java, right? We'll be directly making a call like this, simply naming, mentioning their method name, and if any parameters are required, we'll pass those parameters. That's it. We don't even use a class name to call the superclass members. But in Python, so are you able to do so? You are not able to do so. You cannot call them directly, even though areas are also members of this circle class. You will not be able to call them directly. You need to use the name of the superclass followed by a dot operator, then the method name. So where is areas method defined? It is defined in area class. So you have to use the name of the class area dot areas. And even for perimeters, where is perimeters defined? It is defined in perimeter class. So you need to use the name of the class perimeter dot perimeters. But if you are accessing this methods area and areas and perimeters from outside the class using the object of c1, then that is okay. So let me now put this statement. Instead of calling this c1 dot display, let me call c1 dot areas and c1 dot perimeters. So look at the output. You're directly accessing areas method and perimeter method. You're not making a call to display method. I put this c1 dot display under comment, so the display method will not be invoked. I'm directly invoking perimeters method of perimeter class and areas method of areas class. But using which object I'm invoking them? I'm invoking them using a c1 object, which is an object for the level 3 class circle, right? So outside of all the classes, using an object you can directly call them, but inside the level classes, if you want to access the next immediate level or next level superclass methods, you cannot access them directly simply by mentioning their method names like this. You have to use the class name of the superclass followed by a dot operator and then the method name, and any parameters required you have to pass. But self parameter is by default required for every method, right? So in normal case, when you are making a call to the areas method outside the class using an object, am I passing any self parameter, or am I passing any self parameter to areas method or perimeters method? I'm not passing. But look at how I'm passing here. I need to mention self here. I need to mention self here. Okay. So let me remove this comment. Now I'll put these two statements in comments and remove self keyword here. So look at the mistake, look at the error, type error, areas missing one required positional argument self. Okay. So when you are making a call to superclass methods from the subclass, you need to mention the class name followed by method name, separating them with a dot operator, and as well as this self argument is mandatory. The self argument is mandatory, right? So in any type of inheritance, not just in multi-level inheritance, in any type of inheritance, to make a call to the uh, superclass method from the subclass, you need to use the class name followed by dot operator and then method name. And if it is having any parameters other than self, you need to pass those parameters normally, but along with them you have to pass self parameter also, self argument also. Normally if you are making a call to those methods from outside the class like this by using an object, we will not pass any self keyword, right? We'll pass only other parameter values, will not pass any self parameter or self argument to those methods. But when you are using inheritance from the subclass, when you are making a call to the superclass methods, you need to definitely pass this self argument. Remember, this is an important point, you will be confused. If you observe the previous programs, we were creating classes and methods. We didn't use the concept of inheritance earlier, right? As from yesterday, we were using concept of inheritance. But before that, we created classes without inheritance, and we have created objects for those classes. And when those methods are called using those objects of those classes, we are excluding self argument. We are not passing self argument. We are passing the other arguments if there are any, so we'll ignore self argument. But when you are using inheritance, if you are calling those methods from outside the class using objects, you need not pass the self argument. But if you are calling those methods from one of those subclasses like this by using the class name dot method name, you have to pass, you must pass the self argument, otherwise it will generate an error, a type error. Okay. So these are the important points you need to understand in this multi-level inheritance. Not just multi-level inheritance, in any type of inheritance. Multi-level inheritance concept is simple theoretically. One class will have a subclass in the next level, and that subclass in turn will have another subclass. So that is multi-level inheritance. So you know how to create subclasses. So following that syntax, you will create that subclasses. But the important points to understand is, when you are making call to the superclass methods, you need to follow this rule. Okay, so this is very important. So understood, I hope you understood, right? Can you please
Yes, sir.
respond?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, so now we'll see uh, multiple inheritance. The same program I modified here. So look at how I'm mentioning. Class area is there, the same constructor and same areas method. Class perimeter is there, same constructor, same perimeters method, but perimeter is not made a subclass for area. So what is the meaning of multiple inheritance? One class having more than one superclass. That means two or more superclasses will be there for the class. So the third class circle, you observe, it is now made a subclass for two classes, area and perimeter. So how to mention those two classes here in the parenthesis? By separating them by a comma, right? So now circle is a subclass for both area as well as perimeter. The methods are same as in the previous program. So area class has areas method, perimeter class has perimeters method. So they are going to return the same values as they have done in the previous program in multi-level inheritance. Only difference is, instead of making perimeter a subclass for area and then making circle a subclass for perimeter in turn, we are using multiple inheritance and making circle only the subclass for both area and perimeter class. So perimeter and area has no relationship, but circle has relationship with both area and perimeter. So this init method, it is making a call to uh, areas init method. Circle init method is making a call to areas init method. I'm not making a call to perimeters init method. Okay, so this class inherits features from two classes. This is what this is a message you're displaying in the constructor for circle class. Then the display method, look at how it is making a call the same way we have done in multi-level inheritance. When you are making a call to areas method of area class, even though area is a super class for circle, you cannot call it directly. You have to use the class name dot method name areas, and self argument is mandatory. Similarly, when you are making a call to the perimeters method of perimeter class, even though perimeter is a super class for circle, you have to use the class name perimeter dot perimeters, and self argument is mandatory, right? Then I'm simply making creating a variable and reading an integer value, that is radius, and storing it in v, and creating an object for circle only, and calling display method. The display method in turn will call areas method and perimeters method. So let us see how it works now. So area of circle is 78.5. Okay, perimeter of circle is 31.4, as usual earlier. In the earlier program the output was the same, right? So you observe how this is working. The When you create object for circle c1, the constructor for circle is invoked. It is passed with the radius value, and this r is passed as parameter to the constructor of areas method, area class. So this will return area. And are we making a call to the perimeter constructor? I'm not making a call to the perimeter constructor, right? I'm making only call to perimeter method. But are we passing this radius to perimeter class? We are not making a call. The perimeters method, but it is returning the value correctly. What is the perimeter return? 31.4, right? So 5 into 210 into 3.14 is 31.4. So you're getting the answer. You're not in passing the radius to the constructor of perimeter. Even then it is working because circle have that r value. So using that circle's r value, it is making a call. So now let me remove this init method for calling of init method of area also. I'll put this in comment. Now I'll run this. So what is the error you're getting? Circle object has no attribute r. So where you are getting this error? First, you are getting this error in line number 21 when you are making a call to c1 dot display, and then again in turn you are getting this error in line number 16 when you are uh, using the print statement. Area of circle is area dot areas of self. Then one more time in line number 5 when you are returning 3.14 into self dot r into self dot r when you are making a call to areas method, right? So is this working? If I don't make a call to area dot init method, now let me make, instead of this area dot init method, I'll make a call to, so now I am getting, right? So what do you understand from this? When you are using multiple inheritance, that means one class has two subclasses. You need not make a call to both the constructors from the subclass. That means you need not make a call to both area constructor as well as perimeter constructor. If you make a call to at least one of them, that is sufficient. But if you don't make a call to any one of the constructors of any of the two super classes, then it will not work. It will generate an error for you, right? So let me remove this one as well. Now what will happen? That means I am making a call to both the constructors, area constructor as well as perimeter constructor. So now also it is working. Okay. So one is required, two is optional. But if you don't make a call to at least one, it will generate an error. Okay. I'll remove I'll remove both of them. So now I'll get an error. Okay. So it is mandatory that you must make a call to the constructor of the superclass. But if a class has more than one superclasses, then you need to make at least a call to at least one of the superclass constructor. There are two superclasses, right? Area and perimeter. You must either make a call to the area constructor or perimeter constructor or both. But you cannot simply uh, stay idle without making a call to any of those constructors. You must make either to uh, the area or to the perimeter or both. It is your wish. But if you don't make a call to at least one, then it will generate an error. Okay. So this is multiple inheritance. One class having more than one superclasses. More than one superclasses means it can be 2, 3 or 4. When you are using 2 or more subclass superclasses for a class, you need to specify them by separating them with a comma within the parenthesis like this. If there is one more superclass after perimeter, then give one more comma and mention the class name. That's it, right? So you need to observe here, uh, in multi-level inheritance, what is the difference you observe is, in multi-level inheritance, at each level one class has only one superclass, right? Circle has only one superclass at immediately at the next level. So I must definitely make a call to the init method of the immediate superclass, that is perimeter init method, from circle init method. And similarly, because perimeter has only one superclass area, I must definitely make a call to the init method of the area from perimeter init method. There is no option here, right? You must definitely make a call to the immediate init method. But in multiple inheritance, because uh, a single class has multiple superclasses, you must make at least one call to any of those superclasses init method, either to the area superclass or to the perimeter superclass or both. But you cannot leave it without making a call to any of those init methods, right? So that is the difference you must observe in making a call to the constructor init methods of the superclasses in case of multiple inheritance and in case of multi-level inheritance. That is the difference, right? So now we have completed hierarchical inheritance, multiple inheritance and multi-level inheritance. So single inheritance is very simple. I hope you can try it. Okay, so if you can try that, then tomorrow we'll see uh, hybrid or multi-path inheritance, and then we'll see composition, what is composition, also tomorrow's class. So tomorrow I'll take a class at 11 a.m.